to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You remain standing. I'd ask Pastor Jones, isn't it, to come forward and give our invocation.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for being able to meet together in a place like this, in a free country tonight. And Lord, we pray that you will watch over this meeting. You will guide our minds and our hearts and our souls as we discuss the business of Allen Park. And we ask that you bless not only the residents, but also the mayor and the people of this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Can you fit? No. Yeah, what do you want to be? I always want to be high. I guess. What did you say?
We won't go there. I'll ask the clerk to take the roll call, please.
Okay, Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Cisco.
Present.
Councilman DeGiulio. Here. Councilwoman Gavarecki is asked to be excused. Councilman Rourke. Here. Madam Pro Tem McLeod. Here. Treasurer Armstrong has asked to be excused. So that Mayor Matakas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Very much, clerk. Ask for a motion to put the agenda before the council tonight.
Motion.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem McLeod, supported by Councilman Cisco, I believe. Is there any
Doesn't matter.
corrections, changes, deletions?
Let's separate claims and accounts there, Mayor.
Without objections from the consent agenda, we take item A1 and put it as a separate item. Claims and accounts. That will be done. There's been no objections. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. Ask for a motion to approve the minutes for February 13th.
Motion.
Councilman DeGiulio is moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Cisco. Is there any questions, comments, deletions, or additions that need to be done to this? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Go to the organizational business, the city administrator.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council residents. The Allen Park Civic Arena will be hosting the MHSAA Boys Hockey Pre-Regional Final tomorrow night. Big battle matchup here, Allen Park High School versus Cabrini High School. Best of luck to both teams. I could just say go Allen Park, but I don't know. I think I'm going to head over there. I think there were already some issues over who's getting which bench and all that stuff, so it could be kind of exciting over there before the game even gets started. Kind of a situation when you host the both teams. Brico Excavating is scheduled to start the water main replacement on McLean Avenue and Colonial Court by the end of this week. The water main is being replaced prior to both streets being reconstructed through the street improvement millage. So they get the water main in, then they'll be able to come back in and get the roads done. With the weather we've been having so far, they've been able to get some supplies delivered out to the site already, so they should be ready to go here in by the end of the week, and then get that taken care of over the next couple weeks. Liquiforce has started to line sewer sections in the area of Russell Avenue and Roger Avenue. They're not just specifically on Roger Avenue. They're going to be going a little bit further north and south of there, but that's the general intersection that they're going to be working off of. And then they'll also be working over on Osage and Ecorse Road, also doing some sewer lining over there. Pat Hawkins from Recreation let me know that the Smart Bus is scheduled to arrive sometime later this week. That'll be a new Smart Bus to come in to serve the residents of Allen Park. As soon as we get that here, I think we'll see if we can get somebody to maybe have it out here for the council and the public to see when it is delivered and get it all marked up for the with the Allen Park logos on there. And then for the City Hall Police Department project, the Mason has finished all the interior brickwork. They're currently building the Police Department Sally Port. The exterior brick was waterproofed over the last few days. That's what you'll see on the outside, the black tar emulsion. The concrete floor for the lobby addition is scheduled to be poured on Thursday. Most of the drywall has been hung on the city hall side, along with some mudding and taping. When we were in there today, they had put the first coat of mud on and tape. I don't think we got it on our jackets, but it was pretty close on a couple of occasions because we didn't see it right away. But we were okay. And then approximately 70% of the drywall on the police department side has also been hung already. The ceiling tile grid is starting to go up on the city hall side, as well as some light fixtures. And both the IT and the security equipment crews have been pulling wire for their various needs. So they are making some pretty good headway over there. I passed out to mayor and council. Just wanted to thank not even a resident, but Mr. Michael McCloy. He made a donation to the City of Allen Park Library for the, they have some microfiche newspaper articles back, something he was looking for the Southgate Historical, going back to 1959, 1960. He was appreciative that there was no charge for that service, but he made a donation to the city as well. An Ypsilanti resident, I pointed out too, is that kind of a nice gesture on his behalf. And then I've also given the mayor and council the SEMCOG information. They have a legislative update. A couple things that are going on in there that have a little bit of concern to us at a local level is the president's budget is looking that they're going to scrap out the CDBG program, so no community development block grant under the president's budget proposed. I hope that's not going to be the case. I think it's a great program that does a lot of good for the community. So we'll see how that plays out in the future here, and then on a local issue here with the governor's budget. He has proposed in his 2019 executive recommendation an item that involves the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, which will provide attorney coverage for indigent individuals in their defense. I think it's a great program, great idea. Unfortunately, we already fund that, and we do a pretty good job of it. The way that the governor's looking back is that you cannot get away from that aspect using the previous money you've spent, and they're looking at a $7.50 per resident per capita charge. So for us, I'm sorry, $7.25 per capita, which is about $203,000, roughly, about just short of $200,000 thereabouts for us, and then another charge to Melvindale as well. The problem I have with that is we already fund that through the court, and this will be another charge on top of that because other communities or other courts are not doing the same that our 24th District Court has been doing very well for a number of years. So I just bring that information to you. As I get more information on that, I'll share. I'm going to make a phone call. There was a gentleman in Royal Oak who happened to be, his mother happened to be a former court administrator that wanted to fill me in on some other details as well. So once I have that information, I'll pass it along to Mayor and Council. That is everything I have for this evening.
We have a motion to accept and file.
Motion, Mayor.
Support. Councilman DeGiulio has moved. Councilman Rourke has
Templin.
supported.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Councilman Rourke has seconded.
Who made the motion? Angela.
Councilman DeGiulio. Are there any questions of City Administrator?
Just one.
No, you go ahead.
Just small. We're getting a new smart bus, correct?
Correct.
What happened to the old one? What are we doing with it?
They'll take that back to Smart. They just trade them.
Oh, they
swap
just
back
trade
out.
them?
Yeah.
There's no cost to that? Or?
No, I don't believe there's any cost.
Wonderful,
for the
okay.
Smart Bus. I think it's part of the tax collection that the city participates in. So I think that we end up using municipal credits and community credits to pay for it. So there's no charge to the residents.
Wonderful, thank you.
Councilman Cisco.
Yeah, just a real small question here. I wanted to ask it during the work session, but we didn't have enough time. So in front of the new city hall, there's been pooling of water. Is that because we covered over the drains?
Yes. Yeah, they have silt fences over the top of them, so when you get an abundance of rain like that, it's not going to drain as quickly. Those drains were jet rotted out, so they were working properly, so not an
Right.
issue.
Right, because I know it was draining before, and now it's not draining, so.
Yeah, and then they've also may have some equipment sitting over the top of it too. I'll find out tomorrow.
Any other questions by the council? I have one question on that indigent representation charge that's before the state legislature. What happens if we collect $200,000, but we're already paying for all of the representation?
Is it corrected now?
Does that money then go to part of the state, or where does it go?
The $7.25 will all go to the state, and then they'll disseminate it back to the communities. So, based on what your needs are of previous years. So you won't get any additional money.
Oh, we can't hire all the attorneys in the city at $200 and some an hour and
That is not the case.
make a welfare plan for us?
That is not the case.
I knew there was a catch there.
Always is.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The mayor's appointment of David Tringer to the Fire and Police Civil Service Commission for a term ending 12/31/2018. So it will be approximately 9 months. And you have Mr. Tringer's application out. You'll see that he applied in 12/8/2016 when the Fire and Police Civil Service had been shut down by the emergency manager along with the Safety Commission. And so Mr. Jonathan Young, who was the city's representative, sent us a letter of resignation dated February 15th. And so this name was in the file. I did talk to Mr. Tringer, and he said he would be happy to serve as the neutral person on that. So if I could have a motion.
Motion.
Support.
Councilman Cisco has moved. Councilman Templin has supported. Is there any questions on the matter?
I'd like to get a roll call vote on that, Mayor.
Roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
This would be we have a motion by Cisco, supported by Templin, on the appointment of Dave Tringer to the Fire and Police Civil Service Commission with the term ending 12/31/2018. And shall this person be appointed? We'll start with alphabetically. Councilman DeGiulio.
No.
Mayor Matakas.
Yes.
Madam Pro Tem McLeod.
Yes.
Councilman Rourke.
Yes.
Councilman Cisco.
Yes.
And Councilman Templin.
Yes.
The yeses have it, 5-1. It is approved.
Thank you, everyone. The public comment period, I'd ask you to just look on the back of your agendas for the rules of decorum, and please try to observe them in your comments or questions.
Good evening. Dennis Hayes, Quant Avenue. I rise to object to that last vote. First of all, the mayor misstated the vote, saying it was a neutral person. This person was the city's designate. If anybody's familiar with the statute, which I hope you all are, the statute requires that the city get to make an appointment, presumably representing the management interests of the city. The unions representing the fire and police get to designate somebody representing the labor position, and those two come together with the hope of finding a neutral third party. So I want the record to show that that was a misstatement of the fact. Secondly, I'd like to object on the basis that this is a misuse of the public trust to make such an appointment in the sense that the city management, which is this body and the mayor, is obligated to represent the interests of the city. And by appointing a person who may be a wonderful individual, I have no objection to the man, I don't know him, I have no reason to believe he wouldn't be a fine person in any other category. But the unions could have selected him as their person. Instead, they chose Mr. Beaton, who's a lifelong labor fellow, member of the IBEW Local 58 in Detroit, a labor-oriented man. So this, in appointing this person, and I wrote each of you, and I don't know if you got my email I sent a couple days ago, I sent you all a copy. Kevin acknowledged it. Nobody else did. I pointed these things out, saying that the legislature, when they devised this act, determined that there was going to be this natural tension between labor and management. So our mayor and the council should have chosen somebody, a banker, a lawyer, like Jonathan Young would have been a perfectly acceptable candidate. Probably comes from that orientation, I don't know. But instead, you've now chosen somebody from the House of Labor, and you now have two people from labor, and even if you have a third party that's somehow neutral, the deck is relatively stacked. So I guess I'm just saying that I think this is a breach of trust. And there's one other reason why I think it's inappropriate for the mayor to have done this, and I asked him to recuse himself. He has a family member, a son-in-law, who's on the police force. And for him to even announce this could lend the appearance of impropriety or some benefit inuring to he or his family or his daughter or whomever. And I think that's inappropriate, and I think it's an ethics violation. And I mentioned in my letter that if he did not recuse himself, and if the council chose to go this route, I would be filing an ethics charge. Thank you.
I just want to state for the record, I did not receive Mr. Hayes' email.
And incidentally, I got yours kicked back.
Did you?
I tried to send it to your home email, but the city email kicked it back.
But I didn't get it either way.
All right.
But thanks for addressing that.
Any other citizens, please?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Raymond, Gus, and Quant. I know you missed me, but that's okay. A couple questions. Through the chair, Mike, I know we have midterm elections coming up, and I know it's going to be very important that all our citizens make sure they get, sign up and make sure they can vote. So are you going to be reminding everyone during the course of this year, and especially our young students who are about to graduate, what age they need to be in order to vote, and then they can go ahead and at that time to make sure they get out to vote, because they're very important. It looks like throughout the country now, those young kids are starting to realize that they're going to have a voice in the United States, and I wish they would start to come up here and start to voice their opinions also. Maybe they get some extra credit or whatever, but I think it would be a wonderful thing. One question, Mayor, and I don't know if you can answer this. The Civil Service Commission now, Act 78, is going to be required that both, the two individuals who are going to be appointed are going to be able to appoint their own. The candidates that were turned down, boom, 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 all those people are turned down. Are they going to be able to resubmit their names for consideration again? It's a question. Because I was at the one meeting and boy, wow, I was shocked. Mayor or whoever.
I'm not going to give an off the cuff. I think part of this will be public. Yeah, I don't know.
Does Mike have something to say? I don't know, Mike.
I don't think we as the mayor and council could answer that.
Okay.
I do know for a matter of procedure that I don't know who was officially voted on. And most of them just came to an agreement that I'm not going to do it, you're not going to do it, let's just throw this aside. And that was out of respect for the people applying, that they're not in minutes as being rejected or anything like that. But it's kind of up in the air because they are their own separate board and they do have their
Correct.
own.
And that's what I'm just throwing something out there. I don't know.
Like if we start at square one and we go through our,
You know what I'm saying?
we don't know, to be honest. That's the beauty of this commission. It stands alone through state law. They may have different things, but I do know as a matter of procedure that if they voted someone down, I mean, again, that was different commissioners, but the prevailing side would probably have to come back with a motion to reconsider. So I know that procedurally, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Attorney.
Like I said, I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that question.
Yeah, it's on the commission, Mr. McGusson.
Mayor, can you somehow put on to our webpage the open commissions that have room that have to be filled? If you look on there right now, I don't know what commissions are filled, which ones aren't. And how many commissions is a person allowed to be on?
And through the chair, I could answer that because, no offense, but basically before his knee surgery, we were dealing with this because there is a lot of gaps from when our emergency manager were here. And in fact, I'm not going to lie, there's problems where, sorry, I didn't mean to bring up the emergency manager, but I have to here. No. But the problem is there's people in that individual appointed people that don't even live in the city back on commissions and then omitted other people. So I'm still trying to take what happened in the past and throw it with today. So.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, it's.
Robert Turner, Morris Avenue. It's been a lot of media about active shooter. Melvindale Northern Allen Park is holding a town hall meeting tomorrow at Allendale School on Oakwood at 6 o'clock. And Allen Park is also holding a town hall meeting Thursday. I'm not sure what time, and that's at the Performing Arts. So this will enlighten the people what the school districts are doing to face the active shooter in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Councilman. This is my wife, Natalie Dahl, and I'm Carl Dahl. We live on Park Avenue. Given the recent events with all the school shootings, my wife is a teacher, and I have 2 children in elementary school in the city. And I just wanted to come up with some ideas on how we can maybe make the schools a little bit safer. And so I came up with a proposal here that I just wanted to kind of put before you guys, see what you think. Do you want to read it?
We believe that the ALICE program is a wonderful program to have in the schools. We've been following along with research and the videos I've seen online. But we believe that if we were able to have possibly 1 to 2 police officers or trained security guards in the schools, that would help better equip the teachers and the students upon the case of a armed shooter or some other person trying to cause harm to the staff and the students. We came up with this proposal, millage, to propose to you guys to see if this is a reasonable route to ease a lot of parents and educators' concerns when at the school.
Yeah, so what I've kind of talked to Bob Cady, the finance director, and obtained some information about the city budget, the taxable value base, millage rates, and things like that. And what I came up with is to basically get 1 police officer in each school, which would be, I'm not sure if I have all the schools listed here, I figured about 7 or 8 police officers. It would take a millage of about 1.2 mils, raising about $900,000. And I calculated this against my own taxable base and my taxable value in my house, and it came out to about $45 a year in property taxes, which to me is peanuts. I'd have no problem paying that. I don't know how other people would feel in the city. People with a little bit more expensive homes, I did another analysis. Theirs was maybe around $75 or so a year. So I don't think it's a whole lot of money, but maybe the citizens don't feel that way. The way I look at it is, a lot of people spend $200 a month, cable, internet, phone, data plans, a lot of things that, people, they want it, they have the money to spend it, that's great, but, if we could spend $5 to $7 a month, that's through your property taxes to get some police officers into school, I think that would make the schools a lot safer. You'd have someone there on site if someone showed up there and was threatening the schools. It took the gunman 6 minutes to kill 17 people in Florida. I think if we had a couple police officers at the bigger schools, maybe one at the elementary schools, that would definitely ease my concerns. And I base this on a lot of information that I obtained from Bob Cady. So I'm assuming, I got a ballpark figure there, but I can email you guys all this information if you'd like to look at it. I can send it to Bob Cady, whatever you'd like. But I'd just like to see something happen in the schools, because it concerns me, because my whole family is in the school and they're exposed to this. And when I calculated all the numbers out, it doesn't really add up to a lot of money. And so I just thought maybe we could consider it. According to Bob Cady, we're at the limit for the charter limit of 12.5 mils. So the first step would be to take a vote and to raise the charter limit so we could raise more mills. And then beyond that, the next step would be to propose this to the city and see if they wanted to vote on it based on however many officers and how, we come together on a plan. If you want 7, 10, 14, 5 officers, whatever, and then determine how much it would cost from there. I'd be willing to help out in any way as well.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward and comment or question the council? Hearing none, then we'll move on the agenda. The first item would be the claims and accounts, and I need a motion to put that before the council.
Motion.
Support.
Councilman Cisco has moved. Councilman DiGiulio has supported. Do either of you gentlemen wish to ask questions first?
I'll ask some questions here, Mayor. I'm trying to get over the claims and accounts. Keep going. That's not where I wanted to be. I'm asking about all these attorney fees, other than the $6,000 a month that we pay for, thank you, Harry. Other than the $6,000 a month that we pay for the city attorney, or the $2,000 we pay for the prosecuting attorney. But there's a labor attorney here, Seacrest, Wardle, and Lynch, and it's a small amount, $575, but is that for the retirees lawsuit?
That is correct, Councilman. That is the retiree lawsuit regarding the health care.
So we can add, what is it we have involved in that? Is it like $280,000 already we spent on attorneys?
After the last month, yeah, we probably are at 280.
We're at $180,000. With this $500, we have passed $280,000 for the retiree lawsuit. Okay, let's go on to something else here. Maybe you can help with that one there. Some of the litigation from your company.
I did look those up before.
Okay,
Yep.
Mark
So
has that. Okay,
the
Mark.
1356 is for the Philomene House.
So where are we at on the Philomene House? We're on some big money there too, aren't we?
We are, and we just the Court of Appeals remanded it for an evidentiary hearing before the circuit court. The circuit court held its hearing Monday. There were 4 residents that testified. The building department testified, and we had one other person from the city who testified, the ordinance officer. So there were 5 people that testified. The defendant's evidentiary hearing did not put up one person, did not do anything. And so the judge held for the city. They got 7 days to enter the order, 21 days to appeal. Who knows if they appeal? The Court of Appeals last time took a year before they answered on the appeal, and they remanded on the issue of they didn't like the evidentiary hearing that was held originally. And again, at that hearing, we put up our building department personnel. We had pictures of the place. If you've driven by the place, it is a disaster. We have been in and out of court on this matter for the better part of 5 years. It's just something wrong with the statute on blights and homes that are let go and are, causing problems in the neighborhood with vermin. And here they had raccoons, and just about everything that you could find downriver was living there some way.
We can't tear it down yet, then?
No, we can't turn it down. The picture shows that there's about 4 foot of water in the basement. They've got black mold. You can never rehab, I don't think you can rehab a house like this that has this black mold, so it's it's discouraging, particularly if people have to live next door to it or live across the street that have to look at it. The neighbor behind was going to testify, who lived directly behind, and I think she became ill and was unable to attend the hearing. And so it's just sad.
How many appeals do they get? I thought that this was the last one.
So, question is how many appeals he can try to appeal this, and then if he's unsuccessful there, he could ask the Supreme Court to look at it. I doubt that the Supreme Court would look at it. And I doubt that the Court of Appeals would again remand the case. So I can't say for certain, but I would think that he would have one more appeal with the Court of Appeals, and then he could go with the Supreme Court, which I doubt would entertain this case. So we've submitted a proposed order to the court for entry, and we will continue to monitor what's going on there.
I'd like to take a moment, because even before they went into the circuit court, this man who's representing his family is an attorney. He was appointed because the parents who lived there, the father was the surviving of their parents, died 6 years ago. This man was nominated and terminated from representing this estate 3 times by the probate court. So they didn't do anything for 3 years when complaints were being submitted, about this house. So when you look at the system, it really is a mess. And we know what we went through with the building that was down between Thunderbolt and I'll call it the AT&T building. I've forgotten who's in there now. But that was 13 years to get that thing demolished. The blight statute is, I think, a nightmare for cities, and nobody seems to have come up with a better way for us to proceed. And I agree that we have to be careful not to take people's homes away from them, that they have due process, but 6 years, 13 years to me for buildings is not reasonable for a community to have to suffer, the people that have to live next to these things or across the street or whatever. I'm sorry, it took so long there, gentlemen. You had questions on the other
asleep,
attorney?
Mayor.
Well, I thought it was
You
a
were
riveting,
boring me.
I thought I was a riveting comment I made
Oh,
there.
okay.
I'm sorry
I was getting bored.
oh, wow.
I'm wondering, all these small fees that we have, that we pay the attorneys, wouldn't we be better off to just make them a certain amount, like give them a raise? Joe needs a raise anyway, look at him, he's not dressing as well as he could. So we could give him a raise and do away with all these small fees, because they're all for a few $100s. It just seems like every month they really add up, these few $100s. Okay, I guess I'm gonna finito. That's it.
Mr. Cisco, did you have, anybody else have any questions about the claims and accounts? I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I'll just take a motion on the payroll account because it was only item under consent agenda. Councilman Rourke has moved. Support? On the payroll report is support?
Did you get a support?
Support.
There we go, Larry, thank you.
Still chatting license and permits, license permit.
Oh, you moved them up here. Okay.
Yeah, that side.
Okay.
You're gonna start shouting with it.
The,
No, it'll never
there's
do
a
it.
second item up there, forgive me, because the license for the Knights of Columbus for Tootsie Roll Drive, March 23rd through the 25th is also there. If I can add that to Mr. Rourke, Mr. Templin. Okay, so we have those two items. I apologize. I printed this thing about 2 o'clock today, Mike, so I don't know. Is there any discussion? Oh, it's a consent agenda item, and I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same time.
Who supported that?
Mr. Templin.
Thank you.
So that's passed. Thank you very much. We're down to resolutions. The first resolution is the DCC has asked us to support Senate Bill 723, local revenue loss to property tax exemption, which is a item that is in the state Senate, which asks the state to reimburse local communities for the exemption on veterans' homes. We have 35 veterans in our city who pay no property taxes, and so the state's contemplating something, and we thought it was a good thing to support. That's about, I think, $70,000 of revenue that's lost. I think it's money that's well-deserved, but if the state would come forward and help us with that, I think it eases the distribution, because the disproportionate veterans being housed appear to be in the more populated communities. I can't imagine what the number might be for Detroit and what they would lose in property tax revenue, and they suffer greatly. So, anyway, if we could have a motion by Councilman Rourke, supported by Councilman Templin, was that?
Yes.
And any discussion by council? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's covered. Carried. Resolution to award the 2018 CDBG Concrete Replacement to the lowest qualified bidder, GV Cement Contracting Company, in the amount of $69,847.50. Motion?
Motion.
Mayor McLeod has moved. Support?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Cisco. I think everybody got a copy of the bid list. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next is a resolution to award a bid for concrete replacement for utility repairs to the lowest qualified bidder, which was Savone Cement, in the amount of $98,350. Again, it was a bid, and you have the bid sheets. Could I have the motion, please?
Motion, Mayor.
Councilman DiGiulio has moved. Councilman Rourke has supported. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, then, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Award for the bid for street sectioning project to the lowest qualified bidder. Again, Savone Cement submitted the lowest bid at $530,825. You have the bid sheets that were submitted as part of this record for you. Can I have that motion?
Motion.
Councilman Templin has moved.
Support.
Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem, McLeod has seconded. Is there any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
A resolution to grant or deny the regulated use permit for the property at 6736 Allen Road in the C5 Central Business District. As you can see, you can have the motion either way, to grant or deny.
Motion to discuss this a little bit there, Mayor. I'll
You
make the
can have a
motion.
motion to grant or deny this.
That's all, just to grant or deny? We can't discuss it? Is that correct? I mean, just tell me if that's
What's the
correct.
council's? Normally, we would put it before the council and then vote.
Well, I mean, I'll make the motion for purpose of discussion, in all fairness to the Mooses.
That's the question, are you motioning to support it or deny it for discussion?
Well, I want to make the motion for discussion, and then we can take the vote whether we want it or not, right?
No.
I mean, this is confusing to me. Of course, I'll make the motion to deny then, if that's what it's gonna be. If it's only to deny or accept, I'm gonna deny from what I've read about it, from what
Okay.
I've read of the.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilman Templin. Do I have a discussion by the council at this point?
Well, a couple of questions there, Mayor. I mean,
Let me just state to everybody that we do have a recommendation from the city administrator and the DDA that this regulated use permit to the Taylor Loyal Order of the Moose be denied. So,
okay, the discussion part now, we've already denied it. I really don't see much use in discussing it, but I'd like to be able to say that the reason we did turn it down, it's a Taylor Moose coming in, which that part was okay, but they would be taking up all the parking from the other businesses, because they're just a private club. And I didn't like the part that they don't pay property tax on the building. They only pay property tax on the empty lot, and there's a building there. So I don't think that's fair, that they're not gonna pay taxes if it was granted. So we gonna take a vote now to see what the council thinks, or what?
well,
What
there are
we
other
doing now?
people that will have comments.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll let them take the comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council person wish to comment?
Can I explain the recommendation?
If the city administrator would, explain the recommendations.
So the recommendation from my office was for the council would be to deny this request. This property is located in the Central Business District, so that it's subject to Section 52-386 regulated uses. Within that subsection, within subsection 2 requirements, let me go back first. So under the Section 52-386, there are regulated use. So then you have to go down and check for the uses. Let me go back. Regulated uses, following uses shall be permitted after obtaining approval from the Planning Commission and the mayor and council as a special use under Article 8, or under Article 7 of this chapter, and upon compliance with the terms provided in this section. So under uses, subsection 1, they are regulated use as a G, private club with or without on-site consumption of food and/or liquor license. So then you have to then proceed down to item subsection 2 requirements. And under that, A, all parking requirements of Article 9 of this chapter shall be provided, and no special parking permit shall be allowed. And B, all outdoor activity areas will be screened by decorative wall or fence, a type and height specified by the Planning Commission. The issue with this property, though, is that it has no parking of its own. So it would require a special parking permit, which under the ordinance is not allowed. Based on that, my recommendation to mayor and council would be to deny this regulated use request. And that is subject to mayor and council's final decision.
So here, that meeting, any other comments by council?
Currently, we have a motion to deny it.
Right. If there are no other comments by council, I went and looked at our master plan to see what they were looking for in the downtown business district, and on page 48 of that, you'll see that it says we are to emphasize neighborhood and community businesses, and this is not. This is a private organization coming in, and so I don't think it meets the master plan. It doesn't meet our ordinances. I will not be in favor of them receiving a permit for that property. No other discussion, then I'll ask for the vote, and it is to deny the regulated use permit. All in favor of the denial, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Can we take a roll call vote on that, Mayor?
It's a unanimous vote.
Well, all right.
The other business, third reading and public hearing for proposed ordinance 1, 2018 on utilities, Article 4, stormwater and wastewater collection and treatment, Division 4, design and construction requirements for stormwater facility. To the clerk, do we need a motion, or can I simply open for public hearing?
I think we need to do the reading first and then do the public hearing.
Oh, I thought I just read it.
You did the first reading?
Joe, I know we-
told Tuttle, I'm sorry.
Through the chair, Joe, I know we always go back and forth. Would you like
Do it
a,
any way you want, Michael.
I would not mind a motion and second for each one of these items to display in the minutes that we did do so. Because it's just easier. I like putting official record in the minutes, motions and supports, not just verbiage, we held a hearing, so.
Can I have a motion for a third reading and public hearing?
Support.
Moved by Rourke, supported by Councilman DiGiulio. And before we go to the public hearing, I'll ask for the city attorney to give us the third reading, please.
Proposed ordinance 01-2018, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park Code of Ordinances amending Chapter 48 Utilities, Article 4 Stormwater and Wastewater Collection and Treatment by the repeal and readoption of Division 4 Design and Construction Requirements for Stormwater Facilities to update these divisions.
So we are at a public hearing. Does anybody wish to come forward and comment?
I just have a question. Does this pertain to a property where they got water retention, like the motels they built over there? Does that apply to that?
You want me to answer this?
Please.
So, yes, it does. So anytime you take land which has grass, when you make it impermeable,
Okay.
you know, where water cannot saturate, or if you redevelop property, there is a county ordinance which says you have to store the water on site. And then at some point, you can let it flow into the county system. But there is a county ordinance which we need, which also dovetails into what each community needs to do. So this ordinance is designed to provide a mechanism, some standards in which these storm systems are developed and maintained. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Did motels put in water retention systems? I assume
Yes.
that-
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you know, there's different types of options, but, you know, most developments, you see those big pipes and.
Yeah. Okay. It is kind of crazy. We were doing our stadium in Melvindale, and we're putting in our turf, so we have to put underground retention.
Very expensive.
Yeah, it's going to cost the school district $200,000 to meet that requirement. Thank you.
So, you know, what we're doing is we're putting a mechanism in place so we can comply with law.
Yeah, okay. Now you also have one time you had a city ordinance pertaining to that, and this is primarily Wayne County, correct?
It's both. They need to work together.
Okay.
Because both systems work, because we tie into the county's sewer system.
All right, okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
And it really is also an enforcement mechanism,
Yeah, yes.
so.
Ray McGusson Quant. Are we setting this up so when we take over the wastewater treatment for ourselves, that we're gonna have something in place for our residents to make sure they're in compliance with when we take over the system? Is that what it's about? Because there's all these, all these readings here and everything else, and is that what it's about?
This is not anything to do with DUA. Okay? That's totally separate. When Ford Motor decided to build its new $200 million carbide and battery and wind tunnel next to the one they had there, and also we have the 2 hotels and a possible restaurant. They're all on the one sewer line. Wayne County does not allow anybody to put a sewer into their county drains unless the city or township guarantees the maintenance of that. Took us 18 months to work out a maintenance agreement with all of those entities, Time Equities, Ford Motor, people of the hotels, that the city is not responsible for their retention basins that are underground, that are above ground, the pipes that go under buildings and everything else, that they're responsible for those maintenance. Now, having said all that, the county approved that drainage system, but they will look to the city of Allen Park to enforce it, and this is one of the reasons we can enforce. We had an enforcement mechanism with those separate in that agreement, because we have a hold harmless in an agreement that they have to pay for all the costs of repairs, maintenance, upkeep, and whatnot. But by ordinance now, we also have an enforcement mechanism that's in addition, that puts a penalty on them for not acting in a prompt manner, because there's a lot of acreage there. We're talking about 40 acres of roofs, concrete, very modest amounts of landscape that can absorb, water. Most of it's going to be collected in parking off roofs and put into the sewage system.
All righty. Thank you.
Any other comments on the ordinance? Hearing none, I can close this without a vote, Mr. Clerk, and come to the council for discussion. Does anybody have any comments? Or folks, if you look at the ordinance, you have to be a combination of an engineer and a lawyer, and I don't think either one of them are going to agree with the other. I mean, it's
Mayor,
it's the longest ordinance I think we have. Don't you think? It's 30 pages.
well, one question, because Mr. Turner brought up that, I know we have an ordinance about people putting cement, grass, whatever in their backyards or on their land, there's a portion of that.
Right.
Is it the same thing, this monitoring a certain percentage of their acreage?
No,
Can be
this,
cement, not cement, grass, not grass?
no. No, I don't, not directly. This is more so no. This is more so in a commercial setting.
Okay, so
where you're
residential is
redeveloping
different from
property.
commercial, but if you live close to a commercial area here and all the water, is it gonna affect the people on the other side of the tracks? You have all the people living on that north side of Allen Road.
Yeah. Well, the idea of this is to minimize flooding or, oversaturation of adjacent properties as well as the existing system.
Okay, so they're putting in systems for this water to go. If the grass is no longer there, it's all cement.
Right.
I mean,
Or
'cause
a
this was
building.
It was the same thing when, the airport started expanding,
Right.
it was all cement. Guess where all the rain came, water came back this way.
Right, so you do not, flood the adjacent properties, and you don't go, put too much in the sewer system when there's a big storm.
Okay, so residential we have it, commercial we don't.
I would
Guidelines as
I
far
would
as
just
percentage.
comment to the public. Let me just say,
Yeah,
when you
I'm
said
just
about the
talking
county,
about this ordinance
Yeah.
here. I'm just referring to this ordinance. It's more directed to commercial properties.
the county exempted itself at the airport. It's not subject to this retention rules.
Thank you.
Any other discussion by council?
So, Mike, you want a motion to close the public hearing?
No, I would just like,
Go with that?
we have a motion and a support, just close out of this, or just finish this vote up, all in favor, aye, and then we'll just move on to the next one. And that'll be a roll call vote at the end of that.
Okay. So you've heard that to close the public hearing and discussion, which was motions by Rourke and DiGiulio. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And then we have a final reading and adoption of this same ordinance, 01-2018. Could I have a motion for the adoption?
Motion.
Support. Mayor Pro Tem McLeod has moved, supported by, I'm sorry, down there.
Templin.
Councilman Templin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Well, I'm going to do this.
It is a roll call, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Call for the vote on this one. This is, we have a motion by Madam Pro Tem McLeod, supported by Councilman Templin, for a final reading and adoption of ordinance number 2-2018, an ordinance amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Stormwater and Wastewater Collection and Treatment, Division 5, Division 4, Design and Construction Requirements for Storm Facilities. Shall this ordinance pass? And we will start with
Yes.
oh, okay, no, it throws me off because you have to do it in numerical order, in alphabetical order, and Councilwoman Gavarecki's not here, and she's always my number 2, so I'm like, oh, where is she now? Okay, so we'll start with Mayor Matakas.
Yes.
Shall this ordinance pass? Madam Pro Tem McLeod?
Yes.
Councilman Rourke?
Yes.
Councilman Cisco?
Yes.
Councilman Templin?
Yes.
And Councilman DiGiulio?
You know how I love roll calls, yes.
Yes, all right. The yeses have prevailed. This ordinance shall be deemed adopted, and I will publish as required by law.
And we will have another, if you're not overwhelmed by that one, we're going to have a third reading and public hearing for 02-2018, ordinance amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Stormwater and Wastewater Collection and Treatment, Division 5, Discharge of Wastewater into Public Sewers, Subdivision 2, Requirements by adding Section 4837, Fats, Oils, and Grease. Only took 2 pages to tell us what fats, oil, and grease was, though, or maybe 3. Could I have a motion, Councilman Cisco?
Support there for Mr.
Councilman
Cisco.
DiGiulio has supported, and so we'll ask for the third reading by the city attorney, please.
Ordinance 02-2018, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park, Code of Ordinances amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Stormwater and Wastewater Collection and Treatment, Division 5, Discharge of Wastewater into Public Sewers, Subdivision 2, Requirements by the addition and adoption of Section 48-437, Fats, Oil, and Grease.
Does anyone wish to come forward and comment to the council on this proposed ordinance? Hearing none, then I'm going to ask to close the public hearing, and we have a motion, so I can ask for the vote to close with that moving in second party, Mr. Clerk?
It was Councilman Cisco motion and Councilman DiGiulio supported, sir.
Yes. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The fourth item, last item before the council tonight, is for the final reading and adoption of ordinance 2-2018, amending Chapter 48, as I read in the third resolution. So could I have a motion?
Motion.
Support.
I'm sorry, the motion down?
Councilman Cisco.
Councilman Cisco, and supported by Councilman DiGiulio. Any discussion by the council?
All right, Mayor, I have a motion by Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilman DiGiulio, for the final reading and adoption of ordinance number 2-2018, an ordinance amending Chapter 48, Utilities, Article 4, Stormwater and Wastewater Collection and Treatment. Boy, that's exciting. Division 5, Discharge of Wastewater into Public Sewers, Subdivision 2, requirements by adding Section 48-37, fats, oils, and grease. Shall this ordinance pass? And Madam Pro Tem McLeod, you are first.
Yes.
Councilman Rourke.
Yes.
Councilman Cisco.
Yes.
Councilman Templin.
Yes. Yes.
Councilman DeGiulio.
Yes.
And Mayor Matakas.
Yes.
The yeses have it. This ordinance shall be ordained, and I will publish in the manner prescribed by law.
Thank you very much. Concludes the business, but normally under other business, we do allow councilmen to make closing comments. So if any councilman wishes to make closing comments tonight, please, Councilman DeGiulio.
Okay, I just want to say why I voted against Mr. Tringer. It's nothing to do with his honesty or integrity, because he certainly has that. I went on a ride along with him 35 years ago, and he is an honest person. He's really a good man. But I just don't think a retired officer should be on the Police and Fire Civil Service Commission. I don't think that's it appears you have two union men. Is that correct, Mayor? Is Mr. Tringer a union man? Don't they have a union?
Police do, but I don't think retirees do in the city.
Nobody did as a police officer. He was in the union, correct?
That's correct.
So I just don't think you should have two union men on that. But anyway, getting away from that, the teacher and her husband have stepped up here. We got 6 schools in the city, if you count the community school. And we already have one officer that is in the high school. We have Mr. Madrigal, Officer Madrigal. I don't think that's a bad idea to stick. I have grandchildren in the schools here, and I just don't want to see something happen like happened in Florida. We do need to do some thinking about that in our city. We do need to put a police officer in every school. I agree with that 100%. I don't know how we go about doing it, but I think the cost would be what, about $500,000 to do that a year? When you say close to $500,000 a year, that's not a lot of money when you think of the security we're giving to our students. There's nothing more important to us grandparents and our grandchildren, and there's nothing more important to parents and their children. I don't know if the teacher was a Allen Park High School teacher or not, or Southgate. Okay. That's great too anyway, but I mean, I believe if there's something we can do about this, everybody can't be in Allen Park. We'd love to have you though. But is there something we can do about this, Mayor? Speak up. Is there anything we can do to put an officer in every school?
Well, let's count the number of schools first before you say
5.
that.
There's 6 with the community school.
What about the Rogers School in North Allen Park?
Well, that's Melvindale. Shouldn't they take care of that? Melvindale School
It's an
District?
Allen Park, it's an Allen Park security issue. It's Allen Park.
All right, then let's give you 6.
What about the Baptist and Cabrini?
Well, no, I'm not going into that now. I'm
Okay.
just talking about our public
Well,
schools.
just remember when you have that discussion that it's going to be the area that there's.
It'd be nice to put
Those
one
children
in.
probably are pretty important to their parents and grandparents.
Absolutely. I mean, so what are we gonna do then? How can we do something about it?
Well, that's for another time.
That's for another time? Yeah, that's a dead issue then, I can tell that. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I figured I'll do this while my voice is still going to hold up. This wasn't what I was going to lead off with, but I found it very interesting based on the email that we got and some of the conversation. I started doing some digging, and I went through Act 78 of 1935, which doesn't preclude any retiree from serving on that commission. But what I found even more interesting was that there was a commission in our charter that said no person shall be eligible for appointment who is a current employee of either the city police or fire department, or within 1 year of their appointment. So that, to me, says that you, as a retiree, and I at the risk of discouraging any of our citizens, no matter where they worked within this city, and no matter what their membership was at one time, we seem to have a hard enough time getting people to participate on commissions and committees, and I sure don't want to have somebody hesitate to raise their hand and step up and volunteer. Not enough people do that volunteering, would like to see more younger people doing it. And so, you know, toss your hat in. The only thing that can happen is somebody says no. One other thing that we had a closed session last week, our last meeting, and we had gotten a few things in our package from the city administrator. I was going through it later on because we didn't have time to make comments. There was another letter in there to our library, thanking them for the help they'd given to someone's father. But then there was one from Sharon Broglin, who is officially resigning as chairman of the Christmas Parade Committee. And I thought that it would be a nice thing to give a shout out to her. In her letter, she mentioned that in 2001, she and the late Bruce Haberkern got approval to bring the parade back to the city. It had been gone for apparently 12 years. And in doing that, they moved it from a Saturday to Friday evening, and we now have a very beautiful lighted Christmas parade. And I know that Sharon put a lot of time and effort and a lot of love into that project. And she is turning it over fully to the Parks and Rec Department, which, as she said, they've been handling it, and they're the main reason the parade now exists. But I think we need to acknowledge that we have it because of her efforts over 16 years ago, and I want to personally thank her. And with that, I hope you all have a good evening and stay healthy. Don't come down with any colds or flu, and we'll see you in March.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. McGusson, I did not answer your earlier question about voting. Yes, I plan on going on a registration blitz, okay? However, one thing I've learned doing this for 20-some years, you do it as close to it as possible so the date stays and it's an urgency. And the young people, I do my best, but I cannot top what Mr. Lloyd does. And by Michigan state law, you could register to vote at 17 and a half. He gets every 17-and-a-half-year-old or older in all of his classes to fill those registrations. In fact, did you bring any tonight? Okay. He always brings a few in. Close to the election, he'll bring, everyone gets interested. So we will be going on a blitz. I've been waiting to announce this in a different way, but we've also got brand-new voter equipment. Okay, now what does that mean for the voter? Absolutely nothing, because it's still a tabulator that reads your ballot. I'll get into the details once I start to learn every inside and out, but all it is a new tabulator, okay? But I do want to make voters aware of that. And we will be switching our precincts around. You'll be hearing me in the next probably month driving into people where their new precincts are going to be. We are almost completely out of all the schools for various reasons. I think just safety now is number one. So we also, churches are closing down, sadly to say, so we're losing precincts there, but we're working on it. We're trying to find places we could put people, and it's not as easy as people think because it has to be a nonprofit and several other criteria. But I will be talking about elections up until, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. I think it's November 7th or something. Don't quote me on that. I got to double check. But I'll be going off because we do have the August primary and we do have the November general this year. But I will be keeping you guys informed and up to date of what's going on. So, you're welcome.
I'd like to, but, you know,
Harry'd like to speak.
I
Councilman
can't miss
Cisco.
an opportunity here, Mayor. So, in light of the events of last week or so, and I'd also like to thank Natalie and Carl Dahl for making that presentation. And I understand exactly what you're saying, but everybody should know, it took us, there's some of us that have been elected since 2011, and we didn't have a school liaison officer. And it took how long to get that officer in there? One officer.
3 years
school.
or 4. 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. And the problem that we're having is, and I don't know, Chief, are we at full roster right now? We are not. So the problem becomes recruits, getting new people to come in as police officers. And we have struggled mightily for a number of years now, ever since I've been elected, since 2011, in that people aren't applying to be police officers in great numbers like they used to. So we have a number of problems with your proposal. And I just like to point that out, that nothing in government comes easy. Nothing comes fast at all, ever, okay? Never. It's all slow, and it eventually gets there, in spite of most of us wanting to speed things up. But I also like to address the millennials in the audience. Millennials have been getting a bad rap, and I just want to say this. They're the smartest kids. They have information at their fingertips. They know how to navigate in the world. And when people start, ragging on millennials that they're lazy, they don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they don't want to get jobs, every generation has had the older people start ragging on them. It happened in my generation, it happened in my dad's generation. Everybody's been, ragged on. I'm trying to think of a better word, but maligned would be a better word. And it's just not true. You guys are the smartest, you're the hardest working. I've seen it for years. And with what those high school kids did in Florida, fabulous. You have a voice, a big voice. Use it. Power in numbers. Remember that. Stay connected to each other. Understand what you're all talking about to each other. Have discussions about these things. Calm discussions. But vote. You have to vote. And you can see what happens when you don't vote. You start losing rights when you don't vote. So stand up for yourselves. And don't let older people try to intimidate you either. Don't let that happen. So go out and vote. Thank you.
I think the only thing I'd like to say, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Drive safely going home. I want to thank the DPS last week. I know we did have some flooding on the north end, but unfortunately our pumps can't work on that particular creek that's up there, and the Corps of Engineers has got a supposed plan that they want to do something to try and help us on the north end. I'm not certain I agree with their plan. They have 5 different alternatives, and the one they say they favor is to remove 80 homes out of Allen Park. That kind of bothers me. They took a whole bunch of homes out of Dearborn Heights, and I don't know that they're going to use that vacant land for a retention pond. So we'll just have to see as that thing starts to progress what will happen. But by and large, we did everything to move all our water as easily and quickly as we could downstream. And fortunately, the county who takes care of Outer Drive and also for the state, Southfield, managed to keep those from flooding this time, which is most appreciative. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by
Support.
Councilman Rourke, supported by Council Mayor Pro Tem McLeod. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried.
Yeah, my basement flooded.
7:18.